think you might have to go to my page and then hit share. But I hit live, so we'll be live in like a moment here.
I'm gonna find your page.
Yeah. So for those of you who are just joining, welcome. This is the second interview in the Kings of the New Earth interview series. I'm Lauren Searles, Love Angel Coach for evolutionary men who want to awaken their sexual consciousness and be a change in the world and apply passion to their purpose. So in a moment here, I will be interviewing Anders Gustavvson. He's the founder of Heartland Collective and Co-Lab Campout. And it's a beautiful, living, sustainable place in Nevada City. And then Co-Lab Campout, I'll let him kind of describe a little bit more of that, what that looks like in a moment once he gets situated here. So if you are tuning in, give a little like, let us know where you are tuning in from, what city, what state, how are you doing today? I know it's been an intense week for all of us, for the collective. And I think that intensity has been really necessary to create change. And I think that's why we are here, is to birth and seed the new earth and be the change we wish to see in the world. And that starts with ourselves. So welcome, Anders.
Hi.
Yay. Awesome. So good to have you here. I haven't seen your face in a while, so it's amazing to see your face.
Yeah, great.
It makes me so happy. So we'll be getting into a lot of things, but I first want to just start off with, why is heart-centered leadership so important right now?
I mean, heart-centered leadership is so important right now because of everything, going on. It's really the only place where we can lead from and truly know that we're leading in a good way. There's so many different aspects and so many different people to consider at all times. And for anybody that cares, anything about the world around themselves and all the people around them and their communities, I think it's also something that really inspires me, to be able to lead from a place that is all encompassing and that really is considerate and is really considering all the different angles and all the different people and everybody, and then also somehow, some way at the same time integrating myself, and integrating what I am here to serve with and how that can serve, others as well. And there's a lot of art, I think, also, and being a full leading from your heart.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So what has been your journey that has led you here of like heartful leadership and Heartland Collective? And what's been your journey to like get to where you are today?
Yeah, so it's been really listening a lot to my own heart. I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago when I decided to kind of throw the towel in at the normal business world, normal ways of doing things, and being in front of my computer as much as I used to be in front of my computer, and chasing venture capital money, chasing angel funding money, and into creating something that was so big, but not actually touching the people that I care the most about. Not actually touching like me, like when I realized that I was working so hard just to make money, just to have something that I would then be able to, I work so hard at something that I needed in order to grow this like wealth that I could then buy whatever I needed to have for myself in the future. And when I realized that that's the direction that I was going, I realized that I was actually wasting a huge part of my life. And it was like the biggest gamble of my life if I had continued on that path. And so by stopping, by really, really stopping everything that I was doing, and I kind of look at my monk's journey was just quitting everything that I did. And then I moved up on a mountain and was just spent a lot of time with plants and spent a lot of time with nature, and it sounds super hippy dippy, but it helped me out, a lot. I was in front of my computer 10 to 16 hours a day and just kind of in the hustle. And I knew that wasn't the right thing. I didn't know what was truly the right thing for me. I just had to really reevaluate my purpose and really reevaluate what it was that I was here to do and who I was here to serve. And I knew that I wasn't doing it, in the right way, because I wasn't done. Like when I was done working for the day, I wasn't filled with the purpose. I wasn't filled with joy. I just kind of went to bed at night, and then knowing I had to get up the next day and hustle again and go back to the grind. And I realized the place, it wasn't the place that I wanted to live from. And I really knew that as a leader, I wanted to be an example of what other people could kind of do in order to live lives full of joy and purpose. And if I wasn't doing that myself, I knew that it wasn't going to be something that I could recommend anybody else to follow. So it was just like really listening to my heart, and then making a choice and setting a time limit for like being away from that world, and then to really, and then having the time, creating the time for myself so that I could really figure out back again, what is my purpose and what do I want to create.
I love that you said that there was a time limit, right? Because like years can go by, 5 years can go by, a decade can go by, where someone has this dream, this vision, this calling, like that's like their heart is like, oh, I want this reality. But then they're just grinding, thinking like the rat race is going to get them out of the grind.
Yeah.
And there's just like a point where you just have to step out of the rat race.
Yeah. And I think that it's key, and it's important that you said that also, that with regard to the time limit, because what I was doing up on a mountain, it was essentially like I went and got a job, and I worked for somebody else, and I lived, but I took myself out of my normal like world, and I took myself out of that so that I could fully focus on myself and fully focus on what do I require in order to nurture my soul, my body, and in order to come back into myself. And so I took a job. I was smart about what kind of job I took, because I wanted one that disconnected me totally from the life that I lived before. And I wanted one that could provide me all the basic requirements I needed. And one of those, basic requirements was really a full unplug, so that I could really myself.
Beautiful. Like fully unplugging from cyber world, perhaps.
Yeah.
So what would you say for men who are searching for their purpose, of how could they start to find that within themselves?
Well, first is just a radical commitment to finding that, and realizing how important it is for your life to know that that is what you want to do. And I've had a really interesting journey with purpose itself. I've gone through many different iterations of that personally, and I think that's okay. And I also encourage people to not think and not feel that your purpose doesn't have to be this daunting thing that can never change. It's just about on purpose. And when you're on purpose, your body is awake, and you feel invigorated, and you feel passionate, and you wake up every morning, and you're just excited to do the work that you're here to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that excitement piece. So you're on purpose when you're excited when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is I align with my North Star. And the North Star could be, for me, it's like raising the sexual consciousness on the planet. But the way that looks and the way that I can plug that in is many different ways. It doesn't always look the same way, but I know, like, okay, if I'm aligned with love, if I'm aligned with human connection, and that expression can look it can go through many different avenues, but I'm aligned with my North Star. So, you know, I feel like if you go deep enough, your purpose is the same, but the avenue, the expression, the business, the model could look very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that, you know, you had a really huge journey and transformation in just like your own embodiment and sexual energy and all of that, because you're actually a graduate of my male sexual mastery program, and you like fully committed to that and you fully threw yourself in. And now, like, we can kind of go into that, but I also want to just know, like, how does sexual energy cultivation empower a man's purpose?
It's cool that you brought this up, and I'm really, really appreciative of the journey that we took together. And I'm gonna wrap what I'm gonna say right now, kind of wrap that into your last question as well, which was, you know, what can men do to like really find their purpose? And sex and sexuality is so creative. You know, it's like, it's just designs. Like one of its designs is to create life, right? And the seed to create life is what what men have inside of us. And that seed of like creativity is like such a powerful tool to really play with and to really like experiment with. And when I first started like playing with that, and by playing with that, I mean becoming more sensitive to the realization of when I would ejaculate, or like what purpose that has, and what purpose it has every single time that I do that, and when I choose to like not do that. And with regard to finding purpose, like one of my top recommendations is to like hold that in, until you are like ready to actually utilize it in order to explore purpose, explore creating whatever life it is that you want to create for yourself or your family or your friends. And it's a really, really fun thing to play with that I think very few men, do.
Yeah, it's not part of the collective consciousness. I do think there's a big subculture where once you're in the subculture, that's kind of the norm. But I'd say the main primary collective consciousness is just like, what? Like men, when I propose that to them, like, hey, you can hold your seed for like 7 days. And they're like, what? Like it's a complete paradigm shift for the people, the men who haven't even heard of that or haven't considered releasing with intention and using their sexual energy for cultivation, for creativity, and then like releasing with intentionality, like releasing for a certain reason. And that could be, I'm, using this to cultivate my purpose. I'm using this to draw in a lover. I'm using this to nourish myself, right? Because there's so much energy and potential when a man does release. And for me, it's not about like releasing or not releasing. It's more about really honoring your sexual energy and really monitoring for oneself what happens after you have an orgasm, after you have an ejaculatory release. It's kind of like, do you feel better? Do you feel more energized? Do you feel more connected? And so kind of just taking that on, and are you releasing just for habit energy?
Yeah, I think that's a really great thing to consider, because to each their own, like we are all like very, very different individuals, and what's perfect for one man is not going to be perfect for another man. And so there's definitely no right or wrong. And raising one's awareness around where one is on the spectrum. And it's not a good or bad wherever one is on the spectrum, but like knowing where you are on the spectrum so that you can live your life in the most optimal way that you can live your life with all of the beautiful, with your own beautiful, unique existence.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're just hopping on, we're talking about sexual energy cultivation and channeling that into purpose. And I'm wondering, just like, where were you at when you started the male sexual mastery journey? And what was like your transformation moving through the sessions that we did together, and the breath work and the embodiment practices? And then where are you at now?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't talked to you in a long time, so
bringing it back. I love, one of the things that I really strive for is challenge. And when I'm up for really big challenges, as hard and challenging, as that is, it definitely is something that I appreciate a lot, because I love to grow, right? And I know that, like, who I am right now is not who I'm going to be in the future, and who I was, and who I was in the past when we did that program is definitely not who I am today. And I'm so grateful, that I took that journey with you, because at that time, what was this, about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. And at that time, I was with a partner that shared some news with me that no other partner that I had before had ever shared with me. So, like, I didn't know what I didn't know, and it had to do with regard to actually feeling myself and feeling where I was at. And when I came to realize that, what I left my egoic part of myself that didn't want to believe her, wanted to think that I was perfect, wanted to think that just because, other women haven't complained about this before, then that must mean that, like, what she is saying to me isn't true. Once I got past that bullshit, and I realized that she was my ally, she really wanted the best for me, and through me, and she saw me in a way that was on some levels higher than how I saw myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or and even though that was really, really triggering for my ego, the way that, like, she shared with that, and the way that we worked through that, got me to feel the truth in what she had shared.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the tragic part of that was that I had a momentary, like, really big ego death, and realized that, like, I was at a point where I couldn't feel myself in the way that I really wanted to feel myself. And from a lot of, I'd been doing a lot of study before with I've read a lot of David Data books. I'd read a lot of Montauk Chia stuff, and I'd been studying sexuality for quite some time before that, but it hadn't really clicked to me, and I didn't know why. And when I got this ego death, I realized that I wasn't in the game. I wasn't in the full embodiment game. And what I have realized was that most of the knowledge that I had was knowledge that was kept in my head, and my head really connected to my heart, and my heart wasn't really connected to my genitals, and I wasn't really circulating energy in all the different ways that the books taught me to, because I couldn't feel. But once again, you know what you don't know. And so when men are lucky enough to be with a woman that has enough courage to actually state, hey, in hopefully a good way, it's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity to grow and to learn how to feel ourselves from a whole new place. But what was really important to me was that I didn't want to do that type of, like, growth within my relationship. I didn't want my partner to be the one to kind of, like, hold my hand through different things, because I know enough about polarity to realize that I don't want, like, any kind of depolarizing effects to happen in my relationship. And then so I'm a really good manifester, and part of manifestation was actually one of the posts that you put out, and you shared about your program. And at that time, it was just perfect timing, like, So, I signed up and had a really beautiful ride with you.
Amazing. Yeah. So to just kind of shorten that for some people, because you are going a little bit in and out, but I can mostly hear you. So it sounded like in the beginning you didn't know what you didn't know, which was that you weren't fully feeling on a physical level your body to the fullest extent, because you were living in your head and you had all of this knowledge. Like, you can be really awake and aware and present in your mind without being present in your body.
Yeah.
So men can totally be like, I'm fully present, and you are, but you're not embodied. You don't have embodied presence. And so that's the journey of going down and into sensational awareness. And like you said, connecting, is your heart connected to your mind? Is your mind connected to your genitals? And especially the heart genital connection. It's like, is there a super highway of neurons communicating with each other there? And we have neuroplasticity, so we can grow connections in our bodies. And so the more awareness and attention we give to that, the more it grows. And so I'm just wondering, how has your life changed since building that sensational body awareness?
I mean, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. And it's funny because I didn't know there was a night and day. And,
yeah.
And
we don't know there's another dimension till we get to the other dimension.
Yeah. Every time I get to that place, I'm so excited because I know that's not the end either, right? There's always another like dimension. We can always go deeper. We can always learn more. But it was definitely a portal into really, really learning how to feel myself again, and how to be with myself, and how to share myself with my partner in such beautiful ways that I want, like I wanted to do all of that stuff before, but I didn't know why I couldn't. I didn't know why there was a disconnection.
Yeah, super crucial. So what were some of your favorite embodiment or breathwork practices from that? You can go back into memory.
I feel one of the things that like I still do today that I still do today is some of the massage techniques that shared. That's like a daily ritual. And when that stuff like doesn't happen as often, I can tell. I can definitely tell. And also the those like special like self massage things. I mean, we won't go into detail here, but if you're really want to you really want to chat with Lauren about that. And then the breath work was also really, really powerful. It's interesting because it feels a little blurry because I recently got into Wim Hof.
Yeah.
And so for the last like many months, every single day I've been doing Wim Hof. So like when I think about breath work, everything is just Wim Hof.
Yeah.
But I do remember, and I want to actually like track back because I have some of those recordings, which is also really, really powerful. I'm really happy to have the recordings from our sessions, so I can go back and go deeper, into some of that stuff.
Yeah. So the primary thing that I taught, which my teacher taught me, was connected breathing. And so from what I understand of Wim Hof is it is connected breath. So it's inhale and exhale with no pause. So it's like, so you are taking in a lot of oxygen. It is a little bit of a hyperventilation depending on your comfort level and how deep and fast you want to breathe. But I wasn't necessarily teaching the breath holds. So like Wim Hof takes it to the next level with the breath holding. But what the connected breaths did was turn off cortical control in the mind. So it turns off your neocortex and it turns on your limbic system, your primal brain, so that we can go into deeper emotional memories and imprintation that happened precognition or pre-memory, or your subconscious, like things you're not aware of, so that those things can come up to be released. And
Yeah.
that's why it's so powerful. And obviously Wim Hof's method is for health, longevity, and then I'm sure you get to altered states of consciousness, right? Like I'm sure there's like huge awareness cultivation in the breath holds because it is a meditation practice. But it's just like anything. It's like, what intention are you putting into it? What is the purpose? What is the reason? What do you want to feel
Yeah. And
and drop into?
what I also just do naturally is that I'm kind of a stack instructions, kind of guy. Whereas like a lot of the things that we learned and that we did, I'm just naturally kind of integrating and doing those things with my body while I'm doing like this other breath work. And I think that I don't remember the names that we specifically did, but it was the integration of feeling my body, feeling my sensations while also doing the breath work. I feel it was kind of like starting to learn how to ride a bicycle. And then while I was like on that bicycle, then even though like some of those things I might not do exactly in the same way, but it was because, neurons that fire together, wired together. As some of that stuff started wiring together, now I'm like taking that with me in all kinds of other breath work that I do.
Yeah. So there's definitely an integration to all of that previous work that you've done, so then you can apply it to the current moment. So what would you say to men who are curious about expanding their sexual awareness but are on the edge of committing to going deeper?
I would say just jump. Just jump, man. And take the ride that you're here to take, and it's like what it feels like and looks like on the other side after you make that commitment to yourself and doing it. I mean, just doing it with somebody, doing it, with a coach that's not connected to you and in an intimate way is really, really powerful, because it's a very cool tool, specialized tool.
Yeah. And so much transformation happens when someone else is holding the space for us.
Yeah.
It's just like you have another amplified presence, looking at your field, holding your field so that you can go in and be safe to do the actual transformation work. And if we could do it all by ourselves, we would be doing it, right? Like we'd just be done. We'd be like, I'm enlightened, I'm complete, but we need other people's nervous systems to learn from. And so it is a nervous system imprintation. Like our whole parasympathetic nervous system was created after birth. It was completely a learned system. Our fight or flight system is built in. That's just like our reptilian brain. Like we know how to survive, react, fight or flight. But our parasympathetic, which is like how we relate to others, how we bond, how relaxed can we feel, that's all learned from other people. Yeah. And so if I look back in all of my teachers, I just look at like, oh, I just absorbed a part of their nervous system and learned and felt what they were feeling. So then I can have it in my body and obviously transfer that to people who I teach as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also a matter of like speed and risk. Like how long will it take for somebody to get to a certain point by themselves and willing to sit in a cave for 30 years in order to achieve, what monks do to do that, and then risk, like are you willing to risk the amount of time to get to where you want to go, or do you want to do what most professionals or most people that are really serious about achieving higher results do? They want to get there faster so that they can enjoy more time being at a state where and have that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings me just to inviting the men on here. Like I have a masterclass tomorrow. It's called the 3 Untold Truths to Becoming an Irresistible Lover. And I'll be teaching a lot of the things that I've taught Anders, of just going deeper into your body, amplifying your masculine presence, and really anchoring into your soul's purpose in the world. Because I feel like it's now more than ever even more important, because there's so much there's so much unrest and there's so much transformation. And I feel like this is a portal that people, and men in particular, can jump through and really take this as an opportunity for growth and to not wait. So there's a link above if you want to register for the masterclass, or just message me individually. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And so I also just want to wrap up with, what is your vision for the new earth, and how does that wrap in with what you're creating in Heartland Collective and the Co-Lab Campout and everything you're creating?
Well, it's just such a phenomenal time to live, right? It's amazing because none of us knew before, none of us know now, and so I want to create a place for those of us on the fringes, for those of us that are willing and wanting and desiring to create that new earth. And the Heart Collective is an off-grid lakeside venue where we used to host big events, or not big events like 100 to 150, 200 people. We have 45 of those a year, where our goal is to do full farm to table events and really showcase a way to live in a fully regenerative way, and house 15 to 20 people building various different socially good and good ventures. So I'll offer them like an incubation space to create from, and bring them amazing yoga retreats and meditation retreats and all kinds of events to help them up level their lives, so that as a collective, we can offer something back to this new earth that is from a vibration that is so different than what is available to people in big cities, because we're in nature and we get to create together and from a state of flow.
Yeah, I remember when we were working together how important flow state was for you, and how powerfully things unfold when we're in flow state, right? Because I think so much of the grind is like go, 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 do, push, push, push. And we can't truly receive the fruits of our labor if we're in the grind. But if we're in the flow, it's like our life can be this beautiful ritual unfolding. And again, like our nervous systems are built to be in nature, and we automatically return to a balanced state inside when we are in nature, and when we are in community, and when we are sharing meals with our beloved friends. And I can't wait to go up to your land. I'm finally well enough to come visit you. I was kind of in a state of disarray for the last like 3 years. Traveling was hard for me, but I'm definitely so ready, and I love everything that you're creating and that you stand for, and your heart-based leadership. It means just all the world to me to be your friend and also be a witness to your journey.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be your friend and witness your growth, and we'll play together.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome.
Welcome to come anytime you want.
Okay. It's coming soon. I can feel it. So are there any last thoughts? Anything you want to wrap up with?
I feel really good. Just being in nature right now. And for anybody, out there having a really hard time right now, not really able to tap into that because of all the challenge that many people out there are going through. I just want to reflect my care and like my love, and I know somehow deep down inside that creating the space for people to land, in the future is what my purpose is. And some people out there that are, out there protesting, and some people out there that are just having a really, really hard time. I'm compassionate, to them, and I really hope and trust and wish that they will find something, in their lives that they find really, really purposeful to follow.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm definitely feeling your heart and your radiant presence. And I think we can sign off from here. And if anyone wants to be involved in Co-Lab Campout, or can they host retreats at your at Heartland, or is it more organized than that?
Yeah, it's just best for them to reach out to me at heartlandcollective.org, or reach out to me on Facebook. And retreats in general are just kind of a strange thing at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, probably not right now, but
but yeah, reach out to us, connect with us on Facebook, and follow us, and we'd love to have you join us at one of our future events.
Awesome. Beautiful. I'll see you there.
Thanks so
much.
Bye.
Love. Okay. Aloha.